All right, we are live for an RTD live talk. Excited to have a good friend of mine, Mr. JJ, joining us this evening. He's a fellow YouTuber over there at Bull. I always butcher this, the Bull Boom Bear Bus. And so if I say it too fast,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stutter. But JJ, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, excellent. Thanks for having me on, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yes, I appreciate you taking time to join us this evening. So, as I mentioned before, we went live for my evening light live streams. They're more laid back, chill. We get some audience participation. So, hopefully, you're ready to laugh a little bit as well as probably get fired up, depending on the subject we touch on. But
Oh, I know how you do it. Anything goes, right? You never know what's going to come up.
fair enough, fair enough. For all those tuning in, appreciate you guys for hanging out with us tonight. And so, typical live stream, but yet I have a co-host slash guest joining us tonight. So feel free to just fire off questions and whatnot, and we'll share our 2 cents. And then also when the phone lines open up, we will definitely love to hear from you guys tonight. And let's have a little back and forth on this pre-Thanksgiving Eve, if I can say that, if that, say that correctly.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Okay, so let's dive right into it. So I got a couple questions I'm gonna get off the top of my mind. And so I'm actually pull up your website or your YouTube channel. Let me go ahead and open this up here. And so for those that are not familiar, you do a great job of covering every single thing to the best of your ability. And as you mentioned beforehand, there's more things that you're not able to get to. So for those that may not be familiar with, to go check them out on YouTube, Bull Boom Bear Bust. And so you do a great job of just getting right to the point on all types of things in relation to the economy and where we're heading and things of that nature. So definitely I want to jump in that. So you've done a lot of videos I've seen, like out in the streets, especially talking about the food lines. And that's one thing where I'm aware of them, and I haven't actually been able to see any. But yet, give me the rundown on the food lines, because you're out in San Diego. So we got the Detroit, San Diego connection tonight. So you are the boots on the ground in Cali. So give me the rundown on the food lines, man, and what you've seen in your neck of the woods.
Oh, man, I just saw this coming a mile away, and we go visit in-laws in Riverside. And I wasn't even looking to report on food lines or anything, and took my kids to this park, which was close just in the neighborhood. And there was this church across the street, and they do the food handouts. Mm-hmm. And I've seen, people going in and out of there. I'm wondering, why is there so much traffic in and out, And that particular day, it was 4th of July, actually. And there was cars at least 2 miles. And I had never seen that before. And we had seen reports. You probably saw the reports, also the news reports, that a lot of people weren't prepared for this shutdown, and for the we had a lot of supply chain disruptions with everything that happened with shutdowns, and the farms are having to dump food. And just I'm kind of in touch with it, because I actually grew up on a farm up until like when I was 13, and my parents got divorced. But I kind of always wondered, how are all these people going to survive once something goes wrong with so many people? Growing up on a farm, I'm like, okay, there's always food, it's always around. And then I come out here and I'm like, wow, this is could get bad if something goes wrong.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I always was not necessarily question, but yet outside of what the mainstream narrative is that people are starving food lines. And so they try to paint this very dark and danger and just dreary picture. And for some people, it might be that way. But another thing I'm thinking, when I see, so I got an article, I'm going to pull this up here. When I see news stories that really try to highlight how bad things are. So as you can see on the screen, it said food lines, late payments, falling income as COVID. So they throwing in COVID. Like they're using this COVID scare to really ramp up these stories. And of course they show car lines, but yet I wasn't there, so I can't, validate this. But I always wonder, out of all those cars that are there, how many people are there because it's free food, as opposed to I really financially am in a pinch and I need some help. And so that's one of the things where I'm like, how much of it is like, okay, they say it's free. Let me go get me a turkey, or let me go get me a couple canned goods, because I don't really need it. But so in your opinion, how much you think might be that, but then how much of it might be like, I really can't feed my kids type thing?
Yeah, exactly. I thought about that, and I looked at how long these lines were taking, and it was a long time. It was hours wait, the one I saw, and looks like the one you just pulled up there, I had to be to get the food. So I'm thinking, okay, if I didn't really need this food, would I want to sit in line for several hours in my car burning gas? I think there's a lot of desperate people out there. I see them in comments too on the video. You look at the street level view when you read the viewers' comments, and I see a lot of people out there having a tough time.
Yeah, and that's one thing where what really shocks me is I entitled this live stream here like the disconnect between Main Street and Wall Street, and how, of course, or Wall Street all-time high equity markets. It couldn't be better for some, but then for the majority and those that are not aware of what's going on in its entirety, they're more so the ones that are probably not necessarily prepared financially, nevertheless have any savings whatsoever, because that's not been something that we've been able to do due to the economic and the monetary system. So, this great reset, I think majority of people would have said a long time ago it's conspiracy theory, but more people might be open now to having those discussions, because it's causing a pinch globally now. Would you say?
Absolutely. And they're going to sell it. They're going to sell it on debt forgiveness, and everybody's going to be on a level playing field and make it seem like the fairest thing that's possible. So, you're right. It used to be a crazy theory years ago. Now, not so much, right?
Yeah, man. And it's one of the things where it's very unfortunate. It's very disheartening still to this day, because even though these type of things are popping up, most people still don't really believe it just yet. And so we're approaching the end of 2020. And so for the last 8 months now, we've been introduced to what has been labeled as the new norm with these lockdowns and whatnot. And so you're out in Cali, I'm here in Michigan, and of course our governor here, I guess they're going through the process now of trying to impeach her, which I think will be good, because it might set the precedence for other states to, hey, if our governor is shutting down things such as your guys, was it Coleman Newman out there? Government Newman or something?
Gavin Newsom.
Newsom. So I'd assume if Michigan is able to actually execute that and impeaching our governor here, perhaps Californians might step up to the plate and try to do the same thing. It might lead to a domino effect.
It might set a precedent, but you'd be surprised how many people are saying, yes, we need to lock down. I mean, people are scared. And, you might not believe that it's that serious or really serious, but the people believe it. And I've known people who've gotten sick. Thankfully, no one that I knew got sick died. So it's real. It's just sometimes their solution is worse than the problem, to some people, especially the people losing their jobs, while other people still in stable careers are like, lockdown, no problem,
I
got to look at everybody, right?
Yeah. Now, in your opinion, and of course, everybody has their own level of exposure to it. You said you have, people that directly, but they've made it through, thank God. And so in a level of like seriousness, all the way down to the common flu, have you been able to distinguish where you personally might put this at? And does it warrant the idea of locking down the entire country type of thing?
Well, that's a tough one there. Personally, I think that people need to look at their own health, their own immune systems first. And if you're not healthy, you're the one that needs to be careful, right? Don't have everyone else that might be perfectly healthy, take the responsibility for preventing you from getting sick. And it's asymptomatic, so that gets in a whole nother discussion. How easily is it going to spread when it's asymptomatic? So it's a lot of medical stuff in there, and I try not to get too technical on it, but it's a big mess, that's for sure.
I don't doubt it, man. And so it's one of the things where, outside of what we're being told, I question everything. I refuse to just believe any of the experts or the science, because I know everything is tainted, and everything we're being told is a part of a greater agenda, and it has a lot to do with the Build Back Better. And so, have you been covering much of that? Do you really dive deep into the political realm of things, or you keep it economically or monetarily?
Not too much, because I see big flaws on both sides. And I mean, look at the last 4 years. We've had the biggest wealth gap. And the wealth gap was already there, but it's gotten bigger over the last 4 years versus any 4-year period in history when you look at presidents. So I think both sides are bad, and I just try to focus more on preparation, because we can't use the structure. We can try to wake people up, and that might help. But at the end of the day, we have to try to prepare, to survive this. Hopefully
no doubt.
Survive.
Yeah, that's real, man. And that's the thing, so I think last night I was talking, last 2 days I've been talking about, just how mainstream media is pushing out Biden and his team and everything like that. And so it's a lot of people are like, why are you getting down on Biden? I'm like, well, either one, they're both, headed towards the same agenda. One might be faster, or one might be a little bit more well organized in comparison to the other one, because Trump has always been off the cuff with his, but ultimately doing the same thing in a way towards that, unfortunately, that great reset. But with the tax cuts and the idea of him trying to alleviate payroll tax and all types of, he hate taxes. So I'm like, I ain't too mad at you there either. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you on
so
the taxes.
We'll see, man. But let's talk about, the on the financial side of things, the banking sector. A lot of people are expecting some type of another banking meltdown pretty soon. Do you think that's in the cards?
Well, as far as a bank meltdown, if they keep everything in place as it is now, the banks are going to just keep going because right now there's no reserve requirement.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened back in March. And you probably know last October 2000, not last, but October 2019,
Mm-hmm.
the liquidity crisis. And we had to have those repo injections overnight for the
Yeah.
overnight funding. And in March, they took the reserve requirement out of there. So they haven't had to do the repo injections.
Mm-hmm.
And now the banks, people talk about how the Fed prints money out of thin air. It's now your Bank of America, your Chase printing money out of thin air by lending. So issuing
Mm-hmm.
debt is the printing of money now.
Yeah.
And they can print it now in unlimited quantities.
Yeah.
And we'd have to look into their books to see what their losses are. Right now, it's looking good because home prices are still going up. But eventually, there's going to be a point where people just can't pay. And it's surprising what's happening now. But it's
yeah,
massive.
I was watching somebody, they mentioned that, beginning January 1st, when all the moratoriums and all those provisions that allowed people to not have to pay up and pay their bills, comes to an end. And it really feels like between now and that time frame, there'll be no, type of coming together, in Congress to pass any type of stimulus type of measures. And so if they let this thing just ride out until that particular point, then that could be the catalyst that really could escalate this thing. Because I'm not sure if you're familiar with a guy named Reggie Middleton, who does a Veritasium project. Anyway, but he does a great job. The Boom, what is it? He has like I think it's the Boom Bust blog or something like that.
Okay.
But he does a good job of providing detailed analysis of the bank's balance sheet according to his team. And he's already saying that they're lying on a surface trying to cover up all the losses. And so at this current moment, that any minute something can give and we can have another 2008 type of moment. So, we'll see. But a lot of people will definitely be impacted more so than I think in 2008. Wouldn't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a lot worse. Debt is higher now. Home prices are higher. And the gap between wages and home prices and rents, by the way, too, is wider now than ever, too. So, it'll definitely be a lot worse this time. If and when it breaks. And I think it's going to eventually.
Yeah, and the sad thing is the homeless situation is already a problem. Politicians were never really concerned with trying to alleviate that or solve that. And so I haven't been to California in a while now, but I've seen videos about certain districts or areas or whatnot where people are literally like on the streets and it's not livable for most places. So is that in San Diego area? Is that really bad in your neck of the woods or what?
Yeah, I mean, here I'm in La Mesa, which is right. I've definitely seen an uptick in homelessness, and downtown San Diego has gotten a lot worse. I'd say it's gotten about 3 times worse just in the past 20 years since I've lived out here. And I've heard LA has gotten tons worse. I haven't done too much boots on the ground reporting, but just the reporting I did see, it's definitely a big uptick.
Yeah. So let's actually, if you don't mind, let's take some questions or whatnot, because I can rant and ramble all day long. So we got about 150 or so people tuning in, and so as always, for those that are tuning in, I have JJ joining us, fellow YouTuber out there trying to educate the people as well. And so I'm curious to find out as far as solutions. And so I over my 5 years now trying to just provide information and just tell people that the Federal Reserve note as we know it is ultimately going to have its day of reckoning like every other fiat currency. So the best way to alleviate or avoid or to minimize your exposure to the pain is to get your weight up. And so as far as on your end, are you a precious metals enthusiast? What are some strategies and some things that you try to put out to your audience?
Right. No, I am a silver stacker. Absolutely. Silver and cryptos. And I feel that if there's going to be this inflation, could be runaway inflation, hyperinflation. I'm not all in. If I knew 100% that it was going to be inflation only, I would be all in on cryptos and silver. But I kind of hedging both ways and try to have a diversity, right? Diversify your portfolio. So still mostly in cash. If there's a correction, you want to be able to take advantage of the buying opportunities, especially real estate. I've got a property that I rent out. Plus, I've got my primary home. And actually, I had to sell one to get out of debt. That's a long story because of medical bills. So my investment story is not so much I'm a mega successful millionaire, mostly just scraping by and still trying to always looking for new ways to try to get an edge.
Yeah, that's real, man. That's real, man. So give me your thoughts on because we have some people in the audience that are not necessarily crypto lovers. I love to make videos being the skeptic. Cause I've had crypto people on. I like to throw curveballs. because there's a lot of questions I still have to this day where I don't trust it because I can't hold it directly. But yet I do dip and dabble myself. So when it comes to metals or crypto, are you very like optimistic that it's going to be that transition type of outlet for a lot of people to, have like generational wealth type of thing, or is your approach more so let me get some and get my weight up with those gains out of line? Where do you stand at?
Just get some. I don't trust the online platforms. I'm very distrustful of digital assets in general. Even money in the bank, I try not to keep more than I really need to in there, and I'm just really skeptical and maybe overly cautious. My wife says I'm paranoid, but she sees a lot of things happening now that I've been talking about for a while. So she's starting to kind of come around a little bit,
Yeah. So we got a question here. So as always, if you would like to call in and ask a question on air, feel free to do so. Numbers right there beneath us, or highlight at Rethinking a Dollar, and I'll try to stand out and I can see it. So we have something here from Token Black. It says, what do you think about all the institutional money pouring into BTC? What do you think about that, Jay?
That's something that is going to lead to, I think, a boom and then a bust, because with that money that they're putting in there, it's going to cause bigger volatility, a lot bigger volatility. So that's why I'm not going in right now. A lot of people are jumping in with the FOMO since they saw the big run up. XRP is going crazy, and that leads to more volatility, in my opinion, because they're market makers in the end. They can get in and out before a lot of people can even realize what's happening.
Yeah, very true. And on top of that as well, a good portion of the people that's been in this space for quite some time, they're more so labeled as traders. So they're looking to take profits. That's one of the biggest things I've seen more and more nowadays is take profits. Don't be greedy. If you have a little rally, take your profits. So you got everybody looking to take profits at the same time. It definitely will cause a drop in the price.
And I took 10% off, by the way. I took 10% off on this big run up that we saw, just 10%. So I took a little bit off. That means I think there's a lot more upside, though. So
you were the one that helped it drop a little bit. All right, so we got a call here. Let's see what's going on here. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's up, man? This is Fred. I'm calling from Palo Alto.
Fred from Palo Alto. How you doing, my man? What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, man, I'm just surprised to see this combination. I'm sub to both of you guys, man, and I just wanted to say that both of you guys are very talented.
Appreciate it.
And I watch both of you guys every day, every time you come out with a video. Basically, I just had a question, or not just a question, but I've just been having a conversation with a few of my homies and stuff from time to time. Just talking about this dollar and, and the demise of the U.S. dollar and everything. And me, I think eventually it will happen. But my opinion is this, and I just wanted to hear what you guys thought about this. Obviously, they say the U.S. dollar is the cleanest shirt in the hamper, basically.
Yeah.
And the U.S. dollar just has so much history and so much influence throughout the world. And with most of these countries being corrupt, as far as the leadership being corrupt as it is, and I know that America, the military keeps people in line where, hey, if you try to get off the dollars, there'll be consequences. But I still feel like, though, man, that if stuff starts going sideways with some of the more influential countries, maybe not so much the bigger countries like Russia and China, but it just seems like that, hey, if these leaders, if stuff starts trying to go sideways for the U.S. dollar, if the United States just drops a bunch of cash on these guys that are the leaders of these corrupt countries, that's going to be an incentive for them not to go along with some type of plan, because now I got all these dollars from the United States government, and I'm able to, basically, if I mess around with this dollar's value, that I'm going to, the dollar's not going to be worth that much for me. So it's in my interest to keep propping the dollar up so that my spending powers, because what they do with the money, they pass it out to their family and their cronies. So I just think that as long as that's going on, that, that the dollar is going to be strong for a long time. I don't see it going anywhere.
Good deal. We're touching that. I appreciate the call. I appreciate the question, my friend.
All right.
Be good. Jay, you want to touch that real quick?
Sure. Yeah, I get that one a lot. And that's why when I talk about my alternate investments that are not just dollars, I'm only 20% when you look at metals and crypto. So still 80% cash, because cash is still going to be king. It's where people are going to run to in the end. If I thought the dollar was going to die next month, it would be reversed. I'd have 20% in cash and 80% in cryptos, maybe metals. And I agree with a lot of what he said. It's the might and force of the U.S. military behind it, and it's going to be tough to dethrone the dollar. But at the same time, with all this stoppage of production and printing of the currency or lending it, however you want to look at it, we have to look out for hyperinflation, and then people start questioning the dollar once they see prices skyrocketing. We'll see if that happens.
Yeah, good point. And then what I was just we missed a call. What I'll chime in on is that the Federal Reserve note is still the reserve currency, and it's the longest tenured reserve currency that I'm aware of whatsoever. And so it's not going anywhere, of course. And so just to show you how history is a good teacher, I'm going to put this on the screen right here. And so this is an article that I just came across. It's UK cut overseas aid amid worst recession in over 300 years. And so the British pound, that the sterling pound, that's been there for that entire 300-year period. And I heard somebody talk about how over that 300-year time frame, it's lost 99.9% of its purchasing power, but it's still known as their currency, even though it's not reserve currency anymore, but it's still circulating. People still use it. Yeah. And I imagine life in UK is extremely expensive like everywhere else, but it's still around. So it just, unfortunately won't purchase too much. And I think the same thing will happen with the dollar, as they try to rebrand it to that digital dollar. And also give me your thoughts on the digital dollar. Do you think that's coming by January 1st with the app that's supposed to be available by then if it's ready?
Man, that's a tough call. I'd have to say by January 1st, no. I still think a lot of craziness is going to play out here in the next few months. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this stream. I don't typically do interviews and streams. And I think some big things are going to be happening, and call it just a gut instinct. I don't have any like insider tips or anything like that. But I think we're going to see some big things. Digital dollar, they're going to try to push it, but there might be some pushback too. Yeah.
Okay. So I just missed another call. So give me a call. Let's talk if you got any questions. And I'm curious to hear some of those things that you mentioned, like from a gut instinct type of thing. So let's take this call here, and then I would love to hear more of that. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Crypto Sovereign calling from Dallas, Texas.
Crypto Sovereign from Dallas, Texas. What's on your mind tonight, my friend?
So I'm a bit of a hedge economist, if you will, and I hold both gold and silver and cryptos.
Okay.
But the way I went about acquiring my silver was through private party. With the proliferation of these different websites and companies that are offering, you the opportunity to purchase your silver using your credit card and things of that nature. Yeah. What's the likelihood, or has anybody ever thought about this? What's the likelihood that the government will be able to source that information to identify who is actually holding silver and possibly confiscate that? And I'll take my answer off the line.
All right, I appreciate that. So good question, and we definitely can touch on that. And I appreciate your call, my friend. JJ, before you answer that, we got another call here, and then we'll remember that when we get this one too. Hello, caller. How you doing? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Natural Mama. I just had a quick question for you and the guys. I just wanted to know what you guys were planning for Thanksgiving, and hopefully you're not staying away from family for this whole nonsense virus, but I wanted to see what his take on was for the COVID virus, and if he was making any plans for it any different than normal.
No, so
and I'll answer. You guys can answer it offline.
So okay, just make sure I got what you said. You said we talking about making plans for tomorrow. Are we talking about Thanksgiving or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Good deal. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, so we got two little things to touch on there, real quick. So for tomorrow, of course, it's going to be a little bit different for me. We're laying low, hanging out, just relaxing, just trying to hopefully unplug from everything, because we know that getting together in large groups, which we have no problem doing. We actually got family inviting us over, but we're going to talk about COVID and politics. And I'm like, I do that every day, all day. I'm okay. So we unplugging as best we can. So that's what I'm doing. But as far as if you want to touch on what you're doing, feel free. If not, we can get to our first question. So whatever you want to do.
We don't have very big gatherings. We have small gatherings, and they tell us not to sing too loud and not to talk too loud because of what's happening. So I guess I'll try to sing quieter this year.
Yeah. All right. So share your thoughts with us on the whole credit card purchasing online for your bullion, and what's the likelihood that those that are overseeing that wire transfer / credit card system is keeping record on how much you're stacking.
Oh, they can definitely get all the information that they need. It's all somewhere. It's stored somewhere, and they can find out what you have and when you bought it. The question is, if they do try to come and get it, is your hiding spot good enough, or is your story good enough?
Yeah, good point. And that's one of the things I've always been concerned with as well. Like everything that allows us to acquire assets that are designed to be hedges against the destruction of our currency, the gateways into them happen to be through things that they've actually provided for us. So through credit cards, outside of cash, you are really, limited on trying to keep your transactions somewhat minimum. But yet that's why I've been a big advocate of cash. And that's why the whole cashless society, I've never been for that, because that is our last defense of quote unquote privacy hand to hand that we have. And so once that's gone, then after that, we're officially in the system full speed, I think. So, try to utilize as much cash as you can, man, because I think the younger generation, especially, they don't like cash. They like, was it Venmo and Cash App and all that other stuff. So, and enjoy these last couple years, hopefully, of having cash access, because most likely, as we probably get into 2021, do you think they're going to start really ramping up the cashless payments? Because I've seen different signs and different major retailers saying we don't accept cash no more. You think it's going to be some way mandatory in some way?
I think so. It's going to be more control from the top down. I call them the puppet masters. I mean, they're going to try to bring us as close to cashless or completely cashless as possible, in my opinion. Whether it'll work or not, or whether people will wake up, I'm hoping there's going to be a big awakening when there's a major economic collapse, that people will wake up and learn the truth. But right now, a lot of people still are very unaware of what's even happening, that there is even a push for that type of society.
Yeah. Now, if you don't mind, you say a major economic collapse. Like, what are you anticipating? How major is major for you?
Well, major would be, well, I think it's pretty major right now when you just look at the level of debt most people are in.
Yeah.
But from the view, it doesn't look like it's that devastating, because you don't see your neighbor living in, getting kicked out of their house. Some people may, but pretty like the inflation gets so bad and people can't make it. And if the banks keep lending, it may be slower to notice it. But it's just going to be right now. It is a calamity for some people. It is a collapse for some people when you look at their particular situation.
Yeah. Good point, man. Good point. Okay, we got a call here. Let's find out what's going on. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, Mike. Steve, FEMA Region 9.
Steve, FEMA Region 9, out in the California area. How you doing, my friend? What's your? Give me a quick thought tonight.
Good. Just have a question now, and I'll take it off there.
Okay.
What do you guys think about the COVID checkpoints in New York City? And I'll take the answer off there.
Hey, appreciate it. They appreciate the question, my friend. Okay, so that's worthwhile. We got another call here. So remember that first one, and I'll have you share your thoughts on it. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on? This is Vet Dirt. I was just in the chat section. Basically, I wanted to touch on this topic about the digital dollar.
Okay. Go ahead. What's your question?
It seems as though the fractional reserve banking that they've been doing is already similar to a digital dollar, where basically they just make up money on a computer screen.
Yeah.
To me, they've already had that plan in place, and I don't see a real benefit to getting rid of the work that they put into creating a fiat currency. They went through a lot of work of having this dollar legitimized by the government with gold, and then they got rid of the gold standard, turned it into a fiat currency, and now they're doing this fractional reserve banking, and that's basically a digital dollar right there. All 90% of the money in circulation is digital already. And another thing I wanted to bring up real quick also is the volatility of the cryptocurrency.
Okay.
The Bitcoin seems to be fluctuating in price. One quick idea that I want to hear you comment on, just get your opinion, is having something like people are already purchasing real estate with Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Could they do something like 20 acres equals one Bitcoin can buy you 20 acres, and then no matter how much the property value goes up, you still pay one Bitcoin for that 20 acres. And that increases the value of the Bitcoin in cash, but no matter what, 20 acres for that Bitcoin, a standard like that, where it doesn't fluctuate. So those are the two things I wanted to bring up real quick.
All right, good point. I appreciate you answering that off air, my friend. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, man. Those some good questions for you, Jay. What you got for us?
Those are good. Those are good. So the first one was about the checkpoints, right?
Yeah, checkpoints. Talk about New York, but assuming those going to probably trickle down throughout the country if they're not other places already. And also the snitching. I think in Oregon and in a couple other areas they talk about snitching, like they're increasing the the compensation for snitching, man. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just an extension from what we have now. We have DUI checkpoints because you might hurt somebody, you're drinking too much, and now you might be sick, and they think you're going to spread it. So now we have those checkpoints, and I think it's going to expand. It's just how big are the people going to rise up, and how many people are going to protest against it versus how many people agree with it. So it's this divided nation that we have right now, and it's been very polarized. We have completely opposites when you look at the left versus the right right now politically.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm thinking also the states that have those checkpoints, if I'm not mistaken, they're democratically led, meaning their governors are anti-Trumpers, and they're part of the agenda to build back better, according to what they're told to do for whatever reason they're cooperating with. But it's going to be, I think we're heading, especially after next year. I've been paying a lot of more attention to this whole the Trump battle behind the scenes, dealing with the lawsuits. And I guess I saw a video earlier about in Pennsylvania, what's his name? Giuliani was presenting his case before some of the legislature, and they were throwing out some numbers about 370,000, 100,000 ballots, and Trump had 2,500 or something crazy to where. And just following the process, I really think that we're being set up for the divided states of America outside of what has already taken place from the racial side with everything that happened this past summer with Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. So I really think it's going to be a state-by-state case as to whether or not the governor allows those checkpoints. And so once again, we're being set up for something that I think is going to be very interesting to see, man. But do you think you see civil war down the line?
Civil war?
You see a civil war, like whether it be Republicans, Democrats. Unfortunately, they're going to try to do the color thing, black versus white. And do you see that?
If it keeps going like it is, I do see either a split nation where the nation gets split up into two. There's no way of telling, how long this divide is going to last, but it almost seems like it's being done on purpose, right? You see the Trump people out there, they have completely opposite views from a lot of the people on the left. And I'm just kind of in the middle looking at both sides. Like the people on the right say support the cops. Well, you don't support all cops. There are bad cops, and there's a lot of bad cops. And we have the world's largest prison population. So obviously our criminal justice system in general is pretty bad. Say support the police no matter what. But then the other side is completely opposite it is.
Yeah, good point. Now, so let's get to that last question about the fractional reserve model already mimicking what it would be like to have a digital dollar, and then also the pegging the Bitcoin or pegging Bitcoin getting to the point where you can peg it to something of a natural resource such as land, and that actually being something viable. What are your thoughts on those two?
Ooh, that's a big one. That's why I'm not more heavily into Bitcoin, because I just don't trust that there could be new laws put in and they could tax the heck out of it. Something like that is possible, but I'm not too convinced that it will happen. Don't have a huge opinion on that.
I agree, man. And when it comes to the fractional reserve method that has been the primary driver of our current monetary base, I think the goal ultimately is to link up with that one world, one currency agenda down the line. And so all central banks are doing the same thing now. So the dollar has its place in the meantime, but they're all being used in the same way of trying to prop up their economies to where they're destroying them intentionally. And so I think the goal is to alleviate and to evolve in their mind frame, to evolve to another more centrally controlled to where they can see everything from that app in your phone. So that's their agenda, I believe. So you get rid of the need to store in a commercial bank, and you put all that in the Federal Reserve, and then you give people allowances, universal basic allowance through an app. It just puts them in more control to where they actually control what you do with your life because they see it all. And then when it comes to Bitcoin, I'm like, at this current moment, the best thing to do is probably to price Bitcoin and what you actually want to purchase in the future already. Like, how many Bitcoins do you need now to acquire that acre or 20 acres or a car or whatever it might be, and just let it ride? Because once again, Bitcoin is priced in paper right now, and pretty soon you're not going to get back in the paper. So you're going to want to go right to directly purchase what you want. So yeah, I think that's the way to look at it. That's why I choose to look at it. So but what else we got? A couple more calls I've missed, whatever. So that's the thing, when you got calls coming, you gotta get your thoughts out as well. So it's you gotta juggle both. But feel free to give me a call. And I'm not sure what time you have, Jay, if you are good for a while, but they can keep coming on.
I was good for an hour from the start. So I've got at least 20 more minutes. Okay,
good deal. So we got a couple more calls here. And let's see what we got. Hello, caller. Which name are you calling from?
Hey, this is Mike from San Antonio, Texas.
Mike from San Antonio, Texas. Give me what's on your mind, my friend.
Is that a quick question for you, gentlemen? I just want to know, what do you think your take is on going cashless or coinless? Because I had a young lady the other day tell me that they didn't have any change because of the whole coinless thing.
Yeah.
So, but I'm like, how can you be coinless and the government makes it? So I just don't know. I just want to know what you guys take on that.
Good point. Thank you for the question, my friend. We'll answer that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Jay, did you hear that one? What are your thoughts on the coinless situation and possibly the paperless as well?
Yeah, the end of it got cut off a little bit there. But absolutely. I mean, you saw the drop down in the amount of currency being printed and the amount of coinage. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people with different theories on it. And I think that ultimately there is a push for more digital, more top-down control, more cashless, because that's more control. And it all depends on who's running it. Sometimes top-down can be good if you have good people in there, but a lot of time it's unelected people, and it's really a scary thing,
Yeah, I agree. And I remember when the whole coinless stuff came out, the excuse, of course, was that since, commerce has stopped, people aren't spending, we're short on coins. But I'm thinking, like, once again, I know that once the coins go into the stores, we always see the Brinks trucks coming to collect at the end of the week or every month. So those things were taken back to the too big to fail, or taken back to commercial banks, and then the commercial banks send them back to the Federal Reserve or to wherever if they stash them. So I'd imagine, they've deliberately withheld the coins. And that's just a way of creating more panic and fear to get people thinking outside of the need to want to actually touch stuff because it might be infected. So they don't want to handle dirty coins and dirty paper. And then I'm not sure, have you heard much or follow much about the whole idea that some banks or some banks are telling their customers that the Federal Reserve is not coming back with much cash or something like that? Because I think there was a couple articles out in California that somebody brought to my attention a while ago. Did you hear anything about that?
I didn't hear anything about that specifically, but I think that it makes sense that it would be tied in with the fractional reserve requirements, because the banks now don't have to have any money in reserves and they can keep lending. So it sounds like that would be connected, but I haven't researched that particular item too much.
Yeah. And so other than just, once again, somebody in a community mentioned that they went to the bank and the teller told them that, they haven't had as much cash as normal because of Federal Reserve. And so I don't know, but yeah, man. Anyway, so let's keep moving, man. Give me some calls or some questions, and we can get them answered and share our 2 cents on it. And so earlier, you mentioned that you got a gut feeling that some things is going to come down. What's in your gut? What's your gut telling you? You want to be more specific for us?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a political war going on right now, and a lot of times I think that it's all set up to divide people. Right. Mm-hmm. Like we were talking about a few minutes ago, everything is so opposite. How can two parties be so opposite on so many different subjects? Right. You got one party wants open borders, one party wants a wall. I mean, it couldn't be more polarized. I need to believe we're in trouble no matter what. But it's just the gut feeling is just all these things that are coming to a boiling point right now.
Yeah, I do agree. And so, what's your thought on the wall? Because I remember years ago when Trump ran about the wall, I'm like, be careful what you ask for, because pretty soon we're going to leave and won't be allowed out of this country. But what do you think about the wall?
Yeah, there are theories out there that it was to lock us in, you know. I mean, you have the drug in the South, but you know, a lot of theories out there on how bad or how little we should really worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. As long as we have a sound monetary system, I don't think people would want to rush here so much. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are coming here for handouts, and it's sad because a lot of people are coming here to escape, you know, bad situations.
Mm-hmm.
So there still needs to be a legal way to come in here. But when you have a handout state, or some people call it a welfare state, you're gonna have a lot of people coming here for the wrong reasons. So if they would adjust the system, we wouldn't need a wall. So that's the question. Are they going to adjust it?
I think that you know, if we have that collapse like you were referring to earlier, like a complete meltdown to where, you know, as a part, I also agree that there's going to be an ultimate shock that's going to come like we've never seen before. And of course, they like to compare it to the Great Depression, but a lot of the Great Depressionary things are present now. It's just we got technology and ways of, you know, sugarcoating it. But I'd imagine we might come to a point where people actually want to flee back into a second and third world country, whether it's due to, you know, the whole vaccination push, you know, or just a oppressive government even more so. So I can imagine that the conditions here be so harsh that people actually would prefer, you know, the dangers that are in Honduras and Guatemala and Mexico, but yet may not be able to get out. You know what I'm saying? That's how bad I think things could get here at some point. What do you think so?
It could get really bad, and especially when you look at the population, there's a lot of anarchists right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's weird to bring anarchists into this topic here, but there's a lot of people that just feel totally disenfranchised, especially financially. People getting out of high school, people in their 20s, they see home prices are $500,000, especially in California. The cost of education is rocketing. And I read that half, more than half now of millennials are actually living at home now with their parents. So you have a lot of people that just want to destroy, just end the system, just destroy it. And, you know, they look at it as just capitalism is evil. And it could be very dangerous if we have a collapse.
Yeah, I do agree. And so I missed a couple calls here. So we got a question here from Low Blood Pressure. It says, JJ, what do you think about Californians abandoning ship? The fleeing the state. Is that something that's going to pick up even more or what?
Well, I'm still here. I'm sticking it out. I came out here from Michigan, by the way, and I wasn't a snow guy. But a lot of people are leaving because of the taxes, and especially the wealthier people. You know, we've got Joe Rogan and just tons of others, even some YouTubers. Can't think of the name right now. Musicians. People are getting out, but it's not a noticeable exodus, in my opinion. It's still busy freeways.
Yeah. And that's one of the things. It's the people who have worked hard to build and to grow and to create, utilizing a capitalist system. And those are the ones that are being punished right now, I think, with the excessive taxation, borderline theft and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it's just the beginning. If Biden gets in, I think he's gonna you know, higher taxes for everybody. But unless you make under 400,000 according to Biden. But anyway, hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm calling from a beautiful Palm Beach, Florida. My name's Cecil Brown. I'm a guy that talks like a hillbilly when he calls in. But I just want to make 2 points real quick.
Okay.
I'm glad to see you guys that are on the same page, on the same show. And I have doubts about the wall. But one thing about it, wherever we're going, Trump's going to take us one way or the other. That's all I have to say. And great call, Mike.
All right. Appreciate you, my man. Thanks for the call. So, okay, she says Trump's going to take us there. So, yeah. So, you know, just on the political side of things, what's your thoughts on how political a lot of people have become when it comes to Trump? And, you know, before politics, Trump was probably, you know, not necessarily everybody's favorite, but since he's the president, he's, I guess, done some things that has gotten people believing that he's going to make America great or bring back this and stuff, you know, bring back greatness to our country. But then again, you have a good amount of people who think he's a part of the deep state anyway. What are your thoughts on that? Do you give that much thought?
Yeah, I think he's part of the scam. When I look at all the opposing views, I mean, you couldn't find two more opposite views on every different topic.
Mm-hmm.
We need Second Amendment. Other people say we need to take people's guns. Everything is just completely opposite. And I think it's done like that on purpose. So I think he's part of, I don't know what label you'd give it, but I think he's part of the, maybe the globalist plan.
Yeah. Yeah. The globalists have an agenda, unfortunately. Do you think more people will begin to investigate for themselves the concept of the Great Reset? Or people going to say, no, that's conspiracy. They're not going to do that. No, one world government. Yeah, what do you think?
More people are. Yeah, I see it all the time now in comments, and people have more time to research now. More people working from home and realizing what's going on and just looking around. Yeah, but there's so many different opposing news outlets too. Like one news outlet might say it's something completely opposite of another news outlet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Good point. Good point. Let me get, we got a couple calls. Let me get this one here. Let me see. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tony from Oakland. How you doing, bro?
Tony from Oakland, California. How you doing, my man? What's on your mind tonight?
I just want to say what's up to JJ. I'm a sub and I like your work, man. I just wanted to ask both of you to give your opinion on build back better. What does it mean to you? I'll take my answer off the line.
All right. Good question, my friend. Appreciate you calling.
Bye.
Build back better. JJ, what does that mean to you?
You know what? I've heard that, and I really haven't researched it too much because it came from a politician. So it could be something to it. But gosh, once I hear it come out of a politician, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to try to prepare for myself. And I can't control what they do. But yeah, how about you?
I did a video and I use a picture that I grabbed off of Twitter. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But the Build Back Better slogan or mantra, whatever it is, it's a part. I mean, clearly you can tell it originated from some think tank somewhere because there's multiple governments that are right now in their political season as well, and they're all running upon Build Back Better, and they're referring it to 3 or 4 different concepts that all link together, like the idea of like equality for everybody, sustainability of our global climate, and racial justice for all. So it's all this stuff. Heal the world. Let's heal the world. Let's build back better. And you got, I think in the UK, they're talking about that. Australia talking about that. You got and Canada talking about that. So you see all these countries using Build Back Better as a slogan behind them when they preaching or speaking. I'm like, okay, that seems like that's a coordinated usage of those words there. That's clearly, part of the World Economic Forum agenda. So that's what it means to me. It's like code word for, let's, once again, propaganda to trick the people to make them think that we're going to build back better. Hell, because Make America Great work. Let's just try to build back better now.
Yeah, no, I saw, I believe it was Trudeau, right, up in Canada, even use those words, build back better. So there is something, a big agenda behind it. And I think we're going to see something unfold here in the next few months, either that direction or a completely different direction.
Yeah, I do agree. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Mike, Tim, Colorado, Region 8.
Tim, Colorado, Region 8. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
Good. I'll just ask a question, then go off here. But I agree with it's divide, problem, solution, reaction, divide and conquer. I think it's all a stage. I think it's all a setup, which you guys alluded to, and the whole goal is the last step in the Communist Manifesto is to take our guns. So they're going to create chaos, martial law, get our guns, and then we'll be like the rest of the world. But you guys comment.
Yeah, good stuff, man. I appreciate your call.
Okay, hang in there, brother.
Will do. Speaking of the Second Amendment, I just saw an article today. I will touch on it, but what are your thoughts on that? And so if everything continues the way that it's currently appears to be, if there's a Biden administration, I would imagine they're going to really ramp up the idea of trying to de-arm the population. And so what do you think? You think it'll be 2021, or are they going to try to use another false flag event to really paint gun owners as being dangerous? And we need to, what are your thoughts on that? Could it happen in 2021?
I think we're going to see more financial hardship unless something completely changes, like going back to a sound money system. But people eventually are going to turn their guns in just to get food, I think, and willingly just give them up, because it's going to be that. It could get that bad, in my opinion.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's a good angle right there. So outside of, let everything crumble to where people are so dire and destitute for anything that you now have to you can use incentives like turning your guns. Per gun you get $1,000 or this, that, and also sign up, go get your vaccine, you get a extra 1,000. And so you think they're going to incentivize people to try to really give up everything willingly for a couple of those digital dollars in our wallet, huh?
I think so. Yeah. And you've seen the gun buyback programs that have already happened.
Yeah.
Think about if it gets more destitute there in the population, if they pull back on all the assistance. So we have close to 10 million when you look at evictions and foreclosures, close to 10 million people are not paying either their mortgages or their rents. So you get all these desperate people if they just take away all these rescue programs and they could just give them up just like that.
Wow. Yeah, good point, man. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, Mike. Steve again. Hey,
Steve. Yeah, go ahead.
You guys were talking about the Fed notifying banks or something that they were going to stop printing cash or something.
Yeah.
During the holiday season. I found that program from video and I dropped it in your email.
Okay.
Give it to the community.
We'll do. So that's a video there. Okay.
I just dropped it in your box, and I'll go ahead and get offline.
All right, appreciate it, my man. Thanks for giving me that last minute heads up on that article. I appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. So you're getting a lot of good calls, JJ. You're getting a lot of good questions, my man.
Yeah. Now that one was about the Fed. The audio got a little bit choppy there about the digital dollar again.
Here is so I'm gonna put this on the screen here. So here's an article. A video looks like from Band Video, and I'm assuming referring to that whole little instance of the Federal Reserve pulling coins or pulling cash. And so this is from InfoWars or whatever. And so as I mentioned earlier too, there's so much stuff to cover. It's good to have an audience to stay on tune. They can call in and give you articles, and I share it. And so here's a video here, exclusive. Prepare for inner cash. Fed tells banks. So this was as in October, 48,000 over on InfoWars. So I'll put this in the chat if anybody is curious to find out more about it. So just a little heads up from Steve in FEMA Region 9. And I forgot. We had a question. Did we end off last on a question? I think I was going to ask something. I think. No, gun. I think it was the gun situation.
Yeah.
So we're for 52 minutes, man. We go a couple more minutes, take a couple more calls, and then we'll dial in. But as always, man, we can ramble forever. At least I can. So I just enjoy being able to connect. It's always great to connect with like-minded individuals that don't think you're crazy and think you're far left field, and be able to bounce ideas off each other. Because you put some thoughts in my head like, damn, I gotta think on that one a little bit more. All right, so I see some thoughts out here about FEMA camps. And so what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's still a part of the game plan for those that don't cooperate or those on to get vaccinated? Or how would you look at the FEMA camp game?
Wow, that's another one. I've heard talks about it, but I haven't dove into research on that one. I've been so into just the financial system that some of these other things, it wouldn't surprise me. Nothing would surprise me at this point. That's for sure. Yeah,
I agree, man. And so just as a sample of what's happening in other countries, man, I like to look at other countries. I think New Zealand, they're talking about quarantine camps. Canada has measurements for quarantine camps. So that's just a way of, bringing it to the public. But in actuality, what do you need to quarantine people for unless there's a greater agenda behind that? So I mentioned that a little bit last night as well. And we'll go from there. But it says, why do you think so many high-profile people have changed their profile pics to be? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that question is. It says, Philman says, how much longer before the complete breakdown of the food supply chain?
The complete breakdown? Never.
Never?
I'm going to be optimistic. I think more people are going to try to be more self-sufficient. We saw a big flight out of the cities and more people moving out to rural areas. I think farming is going to become a bigger thing. And I think land is going to be the most precious commodity coming up in the near future because as you saw, we can't trust the supply chains. And, a lot of farmers were dumping their food because a lot of the restaurants had closed down and the distribution needs to be improved. But it all depends on what's going to happen with these farmers. They could tax these farmers and we could lose more farms. And it wouldn't be just about the supply chain. Then there wouldn't be much food even grown to have a supply. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, good points, man. And also, you know, as we get ready to draw back down tonight, lockdown 2.0s. Do you think there's going to be, outside of, you know, certain states? Of course, here now we got a 3-week shutdown of everything that, you know, a family ultimately needs in a sense. But do you think there's going to be, if Biden gets in, like he, you know, mentioned before, his czar was saying that a mandatory nationwide 3-week lockdown, do you think that's still on the cards if, you know, come next year, if Biden officially gets in?
I think they will try it. I think they will try it. And you're going to have a divided population again. It could be a whole scheme to try to get people fighting against each other, because you have one side that says, yes, we need to lock down, we need to beat this thing. But you notice it always gets extended. At first, I think it was 3 weeks.
15-day curve.
To stop the curve. And eventually, I think people are going to be like, okay, enough's enough, because you have to look at the quality of life, the job losses, a lot of people in depression right now with not being able to see their loved ones. So you have to this is going to be a tipping point. We have to draw the line between, is their cure worse than the illness, you know?
Yeah, we will see, man. But hey, JJ, man, we're approaching the hour point, and I appreciate you taking time to join me. Let me put your site up here again for those that may not know. So definitely go check them out. Doing a great job over there, educating the people. And so Bull, Boom, Bear, Bust is his website. And so what made you, so before we sign off, what gave you that title there? How did you pick that particular title there?
It actually came up as a joke. I made this housing video back in like 2016. I said, home prices are starting to get high again. They're almost where they were in 2008. And I was like, I have to think of a name for my channel. And I was like, Bull, Boom, Bear, Bust, ha, 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 ha. And I kind of wish I would have went with something else now, because people are getting it all mixed up. Bull, Bust, what? I kind of wish I would have thought of something more simple. But I had like 1,000 subs off that one video. And my wife's like, don't change it. They won't know who you are. I just kept it. So,
man. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So anyway, for everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream tonight featuring JJ. And so trying to just collaborate with more content creators that can bring more to the channel. So I appreciate you, Jay, for joining me tonight, and definitely look forward to doing it again in the future if your schedule permits. And other than that, everybody, be blessed, be safe, have a great Thanksgiving tomorrow, and we'll be back at it sometime this week. Not sure when, but enjoy yourself, stay prayed up, and just appreciate these times while they're still good, because they always can get worse. So just thank God for the opportunities you do have. So other than that, be blessed, be safe. Jay, hold on 1 second, and let me sign off officially.
All right.
Hey there, sorry for this interruption, but I wanted to bring something to your attention. If you've been enjoying this live stream, why don't you partner with me and be a support to the channel via Patreon membership for just a minimum of $5 a month. All you have to do is scroll down beneath this video here, click the Patreon link, then consider donating as little as $5 a month towards the channel. A little bit of crumbs can go a long way, and I appreciate your support. Now, let's get back to this live stream.